I think one of Coach John Madden's great skills, and probably his greatest skill, was his relatability. And he made everybody feel like he was talking to them. And that was no different with myself. And, I think of my memories of Coach Madden, I go all the way back to being a kid. And, he was the enemy. We were Charger fans, and he was a Raider. And, my mom and dad, I remember my mom vividly saying, we don't say hate in our house, in the Lynch household, unless it's about the Oakland Raiders. And, John Madden was the coach of the Raiders. And I think for my 8th or 9th birthday, I was actually at that game with the Holy Roller. We took like 12 kids. It was so hot at that game, and just devastated as the Raiders kept batting it forward. And then it kind of chaos ensued, and then they ruled it a touchdown. And then it forever changed a rule. But, as Coach Madden, I used to tell him that story when I got to know him. And he said, well, it wasn't a rule then. And, he had such a great way about him. I think where I really first started to get to know Coach Madden, obviously admiring him as he got into broadcasting, and the guy that used to bust through walls for light beer from Miller, commercials and Ace Hardware and Fast Actin' Tenactin, every kind of ad that you could think about. And I think that, again, went back to his relatability. He was kind of the common man, and he had a great passion for life and a great passion for football, and an incredible ability to explain real complex concepts in football in the most simplest of manners. But where I first started to get to know him is production meetings. When you become a captain of your team, or one of the better players on the defense, Madden and Summerall would come. And when they came, it was a big deal. That bus would roll into town. And as a player, at the end of the week, I do have to say, particularly when you've been doing it for a while, the quarterbacks get it every week. I don't think they're always looking forward to a production meeting. They understand that it's part of the business. But I will tell you, everyone looked forward to a Pat Summerall and John Madden production meeting, because you knew, at least I knew, you were going to go laugh a heck of a lot. You were going to learn something, because Coach Madden had this curiosity about football, and he would challenge you to explain the way you played or explain the way you hit. I'll never forget, he's the one who really pried into Linda writing me notes every week. The story had kind of been discovered because a couple teammates told it. But then Coach Madden had this curiosity, well, what's in those notes? I mean, are we talking lovey-dovey stuff, or are we talking football? And I said, no, you'd be surprised, Coach. She actually talks a lot of ball, and it will tell me more, what is she at? Well, she tells me the key of the guards, and he goes, no, come on, and then you get telling these stories. And so I think that was why he was such a tremendous broadcaster, because he had this insatiable curiosity about the game of football, and then could take things and present them in a manner that everyone enjoyed. And I remember David Hill at Fox Sports, the NFL on Fox, when he hired me, he said, John Madden's greatest skill and what he taught everybody is, and I want you to think of this, think of a couch, and you got an entire family, and you got the mom who doesn't know a whole lot about football perhaps, or maybe she does. You got the dad who might or might not. You got the kids, and you're speaking to every one of them. And so you have to be able to speak at all their levels. And I was always so intrigued, and that's what Coach Madden did so well. Later on in life, as I got into broadcasting at the NFL on Fox, everything about a broadcast was, here's how John did it. Here's how Coach Madden did it. And they were even nice enough to hook me up with Coach Madden, and I talked to him a lot, and he had such a game plan and a philosophy for how you approach a broadcast, but you couldn't overproduce it, because he used to say, what happens if a game breaks out? And, you always got to be prepared, but ultimately, you had to just call the game, and you had to be able to communicate your passion for the game of football so that people could share that same passion. The video games, I was never much into video games, but it's so funny when we'll be in free agency or the draft. Most of the guys, especially now, are getting a little too young to have watched me play, but they do know that I'm I've reached legend status on Madden, and I've helped them win games. I mean, so there's a connection, I think, that connected him with the younger generation. It also connected people like myself who played a while ago. I think with the Niners, I think why people often ask, our players will ask me, why do we have such a good presence on the road when we go to all these, whether we go east, whether we go, southeast to the Midwest, the faithful travels. And I think, I'd venture to say that a large part of were those Madden and Summerall games and talking about Joe Montana and Ronnie Lott and Dwight Clark and all those guys, Keena Turners and Guy McIntyre. He always loved talking about the linemen, just like the Cowboys. And Nate Newton became a star because of John Madden. He wanted to cover the pits where football was really played. And but I do think that why the faithful has grown so much, because they were exposed to John Madden. And I think the last thing that I'll leave, he's a one of a kind. He's done as much for the game of football as anybody, because he's done it as a coach. He's done it as a broadcaster. He's done it with his video games as a spokesperson for numerous companies, and those commercials would show. And most of all, just his love for the game of football. But I think we all who have been provided tremendous opportunities from this game owe him a debt of gratitude as he leaves this earth, because I think he advanced the game of football as much as anyone. I'm so grateful to have known him. I'm so grateful for his contributions to football, and my prayers and condolences go out to his family.
Mm-hmm.